this is something I genuinely believe people need. So this is the least I could do contribution-wise, is come here once a month and try to equip you with better tools to deal with whatever you're going through. Hey, my name's Jeff, and this is the first monthly meeting for our band Nurture Nurture's Discord support group. This support group exists just to give people another way to kind of develop tools and tackle their mental illnesses, their addictions, things like that. This isn't meant to be a substitute for any kind of actual psychiatric mental health care or psychologist, whatever is prescribed to you appropriately. It's just kind of a thing to supplement that care in some way. I'm just a guy who's done a bit of homework on things that can improve the symptoms of mood disorders or make your attempts to quit something a little bit more effective. What we're doing here today is getting together in a Discord voice chat. Discord is just an online community that people use to talk to one another, and it just happens to be a popular platform for people in the demographic that listen to our band, and that's why we used Discord as a medium. What we're going to do today for the first one is we're going to go through a guided breathing exercise. Then I'm going to do a thought record, which is just a scientifically effective way to do cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a type of therapy that generally helps people with mental illnesses or addictions. And after that, if we get some people in, we don't have anybody participating right now, but if we get someone in, then we'll invite them to do thought records and try to kind of disassemble and dismantle some of their own negative belief patterns. If nobody wants to share, that's totally cool. Nothing that anyone says as part of one of these meetings is ever going to be shared in one of these videos or as part of an audio project or anything like that. It's only going to be these beginning parts where I do breathing exercises or cognitive behavioral therapy exercises. Those are the parts that I want to share broadly so that people know what we're doing here, and if they think that it's something that's going to be valuable for them to do in real time with us, then they can come and join us and enjoy it. There are a couple things that you can do to improve the symptoms of mental illnesses or addictions. Those two things are exercise and mindfulness training. So the breathing exercise that we're going to be doing is part of mindfulness training. It's not necessarily mindfulness training. Actually, the breathing exercise we're going to be doing comes from yoga. But being able to concentrate on your breath and being able to focus on your breath is kind of one of the fundamental things that you need to go through in order to start mindfulness training, in order to kind of like look at those thoughts objectively. And I find yoga does a great job of walking you through that process. So we're going to do a breathing exercise, and that's kind of your guide to mindfulness meditation. The other thing that you can do for free by yourself to help you with those symptoms is to exercise. All you have to do is a single bout of 20 minutes of exercise of moderate activity. You have to pick your own level of what moderate activity is, but the CDC has lots of examples of what that could be. It could be anything from a brisk walk to aggressively cleaning the house or doing the dishes or something like that. So make sure you use your own moderate level of exercise. Don't push yourself too hard, because that has shown to occasionally exacerbate the symptoms of those mental illnesses. So with all that said, you might be able to exercise on your own and know what those things are, but you may not be aware of any breathing exercises or what mindfulness is. So that's why we're going to do a breathing exercise. I mentioned that these things are only meant to supplement the therapy that you might already be in, or to supplement the help of a licensed professional in these illnesses that you have. So don't think that they will necessarily cure all of your symptoms. While they might improve them, they're not proven to do everything on their own. And also, sometimes you need that professional help just to get you over the threshold to actually participate in these exercises. Because a breathing exercise, while it's helpful, it's really hard to take that time away and focus on that breathing exercise if you're at such a high level with your mental illness that you can't even ground yourself to do that thing. So, for example, some people, like myself included, I had to take an SSRI, which is a medication I was taking for my generalized anxiety disorder. To have a consistent mindfulness practice, I needed to take an SSRI so that I could get into that headspace where I could actually focus on my breathing without straying into one of those anxious thought patterns. So it's a helpful thing to do, but recognize and appreciate that for some people, it is really, really hard, and it's too hard because of where they are in their mental illness journey to take part in those things. So I get that. Do your best to try it, and hopefully we can get somewhere. So like I mentioned before, We're taking the breathing exercise from yoga this time. I love yoga as a practice, and it is one of the things that has been proven to kind of reduce trait anxiety. It's just now that we're starting to get better scientific studies on things like yoga or therapies that aren't necessarily medicine for these illnesses, but mindfulness practice is pretty extensively studied, and it's proven to improve the symptoms of anxiety and depression. And I know that breathing practice, like I said, is fundamental to mindfulness. So that's why we're using a yoga breathing practice today, because there is a considerable amount of evidence that it should be able to help you wherever you are. Okay, so this one is part of the discipline called Pranayama, and I've never said that word out loud before. I've heard people say it, so I might have butchered it there, and you can let me know if you know a better way to say it. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna read you the 3 steps of what's gonna happen, and then we're gonna go through the steps together. So hopefully that'll prepare you for kind of what's gonna happen. Okay, so first off, you wanna sit erect with your neck and shoulders relaxed, and also recognizing that it sounds funny. We're doing this to improve the symptoms of anxiety, and it's telling you to relax already, which doesn't seem like a very effective thing, but get as close as you can to sitting erect with your neck and shoulders relaxed. You can lay down to do this. Basically, it's just to get into a comfortable position. Inhale deeply through the nose and slowly exhale through your mouth, constricting your throat, making an ah sound. And then step 3 is, once you are comfortable, close the mouth as you exhale and make the same sound. So we're not even going to go through step 3 this time. We're just going to do step 1 and step 2. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to do it a couple of times just to help you through that first little practice. So we're going to sit erect with our shoulders relaxed. Going to inhale deeply through the nose and slowly exhale through your mouth, constricting your throat, making an ah sound. I think I'm going to close my eyes for this. I find some people don't need to close their eyes, and I used to meditate during my shower every morning, so I definitely wasn't closing my eyes while I was doing that, but I still found it an effective way to kind of practice mindfulness. So don't think that you need these perfect circumstances to do this. You don't have to be in like your computer chair with your eyes closed. You can do it in the shower and everything like that. But I'm going to close my eyes for this one because it feels appropriate. It's going to help me be comfortable while I do this. I'm just going to do it a couple times. Again, sitting erect with your neck and shoulders relaxed. You're going to inhale deeply through your nose, slowly exhale through your mouth, constricting your throat, making an ah sound. There you go. It's as easy as that. I feel a little bit more relaxed already, so I can at least attest that while the stakes are pretty high for me for this to be effective, because I'm the one out here telling you that you should do it, it definitely helped me chill out. So yeah, so that's something that works for you. I would do that a lot more often because it seems like that worked. Okay, so I hope that helped you relax a little bit more. The next thing we're going to do is called a thought record. So I have a template for this in our Discord. I would encourage you to join the support group within our Discord by joining with an invite link and then sending me a personal message. I don't like being cagey about our support group and keeping people out and making them DM me and jumping through these hoops to become part of it, but it's all still free and it's all still available for anyone. The reason that I'm being cagey about it at all is because I want it to be a safe place for people to be vulnerable and to tackle these things that are really difficult to look at and talk about objectively. And that's why I want to have kind of a one-on-one contact with anybody that's going to be going in there. So the template is in there. What a thought record is it's a way to take those negative belief patterns that you have that are kind of cycling around in your head subconsciously and occasionally creating those symptoms of your mental illnesses. Generally, mood disorders are most often the ones that thought records are used to treat. So it's one of those things that, it takes those thoughts that are just rattling around in your head, creating these negative side effects without you ever consciously addressing them. And it unravels them and gives you a way to look at them more objectively and hopefully challenge them. Again, it's another one of those things where if you're like way up here with your mental illness, you might not have the faculties to look at something objectively and, take it apart and unravel it. And that's why, again, professional help is incredibly important in your mental health journey. And if you need help accessing those things, I'm sure you do, because all of the mental health systems that I've ever run into are pretty complex, expensive, and difficult to access. Make sure you join our support group. You can let me know where you are, and maybe we can work together in getting you in touch with some of those resources. Anyway, thought record's probably kind of tough if you're really, really struggling right now, but it's a good thing to practice whenever you can so that you can kind of take those things that you might not be so good at challenging when you are way up high, and teaching you how to challenge them when you eventually get there. So it's like practicing in a safe place while you have the mental faculties to do so that when you kind of elevate and get really stressed out, you'll be able to kind of use those new tools that you developed while you were in a safer place. Okay, so what a thought record is, the first thing, people usually write these down, but I think it's just as powerful to say it out loud. And I think it's probably particularly powerful to say it out loud in a one-on-one setting. Maybe even a group, but probably not a group. That might be too many voices kind of all coming in at once, interjecting with you challenging that thought. Okay, so first we want to do the situation. So the situation is where and when this thought came up that you want to challenge. It's important to note who you were with, summarize what happened before, what feelings that you're feeling. I'm going to add a little bit of a piece of advice here that's been really helpful for me in terms of feelings. If you say, I feel like blank, then it's likely that you're not actually expressing a feeling, you're expressing a thought. I feel like I should do something. I feel like you have done something. I feel like the world is blank. But if you say, I feel, without the word like, if you take that crutch out of there, if you just say, I feel, generally the next word is going to be an actual feeling. So I feel angry that this happened. I feel sad that this happened. I feel confused that this is happening. So it's just a good way to kind of distill what feeling you're actually feeling. And that's kind of a higher level principle, labeling your feelings after you can look at them objectively and everything like that. So not super important for what we're doing here, but it was just a helpful thing for me in general. So while we're talking about feelings, hopefully that can help you out. So first we're going to do the situation. Next, we're going to talk about the emotions. Like I said, we'll use feeling words. After that, you're going to talk about your thoughts. What were you thinking? Is there self-talk involved? How did you see yourself and like physically see yourself? If you could have an out-of-body experience and go back to that moment where you were having that thought that you want to challenge, how did you look in that moment? And finally, how did you think this situation would affect you? And that's going to kind of snowball into the next point, which is evidence for the negative thought. So what evidence supports the negative thought? And finally, evidence against the negative thought, which is evidence that the negative thought is incorrect. So that's going to be us weighing, the negative thought pattern and all the things that it's putting into your head, and then thinking about objective evidence and data that might counteract it. And then finally, we're going to take that thought after we weighed the evidence, and we're going to try to come up with a new version of it that seems more objective and seems more correct based on the evidence that you've come up with. The thought record I'm going to do today is one that is recent, and it's important to do it while it's recent so that everything's kind of fresh in your head. It's going to be about something that was happening to me physically. So it was a worry about a physical ailment that I could potentially have. And the reason for that is, I think a lot of the time, I even personally, the beliefs that I'm challenging always have to do with relationships with other people. So it's good for me to practice doing a thought record on something that I don't normally do a thought record on. This is a new set of thoughts and emotions to look at. So we might go through kind of a weird odyssey today talking about those things. Okay, so I'm choosing it for that reason. I'm also choosing it because it's related to an ailment, because we have someone in our support group who deals with a kind of hypochondria, and I've never had to address those kind of fears before, and I've never even tried to address those kind of fears before. So I kind of want to go down there so I can be a little more empathetic to that person. And also finally, that negative thought pattern was having a clear negative effect on my life. At the time, it was preventing me from sleeping. So I want to make sure that I can do everything I can to combat that feeling next time it comes up. Okay, so let's get through it. First, we're going to talk about the situation, where and when I was in bed. I was trying to sleep, and my heart started palpitating. Well, not palpitating, but it felt like it was beating harder than usual. I've experienced that plenty of times. When you're excited, sometimes your heart rate speeds up. You can feel it. I know that my heartbeat pumps fast. So it's like something like that. It felt like my heart was beating really, really fast. What happened before my feelings changed? So I was thinking about, I've been using playlists to help promote our band. I go out and I look for new artists who are similar to us and I put them on a playlist because it's more helpful to give a community playlist to listen to, so it's less considered spam because you're kind of doing them a service. You're going out and discovering music you think they'll like. You're presenting it to them so that it's not really spam. So I'm doing something that's pretty intimately involved with me and all of my stuff. So I'm doing that, and then all of a sudden my heart starts palpitating. And I'm like being a hypochondriac about it. My heart starts going really, really fast, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm having a heart attack, or I'm going to have a heart attack, or my heart health is really, really bad. The emotion that I was feeling, fear, definitely scared, definitely not cool with what was going down. I was scared that I had bad heart health. Worried probably is another word. I know worry and fear are similar, and they're both emotions that can be helpful sometimes, but in this case, they definitely weren't. So evidence for the negative thought. So why might I be in a situation where I could have a heart attack, or where I would have such poor heart health that I could be put in that situation? I drink a lot of coffee. That's kind of my only vice. I quit smoking recently, and I quit drinking within the last year and a half. So those things can contribute to my poor heart health, because smoking, you end up undoing the damage over years. So some of the damage probably still remains in my body, but most of it's gone by now. The drinking, same idea. Your body can repair itself to a degree over a certain number of years. It's pretty unlikely that my poor drinking habits years in the past are affecting my health now. But I do drink a lot of coffee, and I'm aware of the healthy limit of how much coffee to drink, and I do toe that line and go above that line occasionally. So I'm worried that I'm drinking too much coffee and that's going to cause a heart attack. And maybe I'm eating too unhealthy. I'm eating too much salt or something like that. Like, eating too much salt can contribute to poor heart health, and maybe that's going to give me a heart attack. Maybe I'm too stressed out. I've been very active in my band and in my community, so maybe all of that work without rest is stressing me out so much that I might have a heart attack. Evidence against the negative thought, and I think I'm kind of regretting choosing this now because I'm going to be talking about my bodily health, which might sound like a brag, and it certainly isn't. I've been in an unhealthy season in my life before, in very unhealthy places, honestly, like when I was abusing alcohol and things like that. So this isn't me trying to brag. This is literally evidence against the negative thought I had that I might be having a heart attack. So I run, frequently. I run over 20 kilometers a week. I've been building that up effectively and successfully over the last 6 months or so. So if my heart isn't under so much stress that I'm having a heart attack in those moments, then how would it make sense that I would have a heart attack just lying in bed? Also, when you have a heart attack, you have a lot more symptoms than just having a racing heart. In men, your left arm will go numb. In both genders, you get like a stomach ache and you can feel it and things like that. And also, I'm feeling it up here, and your heart isn't up here somewhere. So feeling that racing, that palpitation up here is something that probably doesn't indicate a heart attack necessarily. And also, I've had those feelings before, and it was just muscle pain. It was on the surface, and it started happening on both sides eventually. So it was just the way that I was laying in my bed looking at my phone that was causing these weird pains and these weird spasms in my upper body. It wasn't ever the symptoms of a heart attack. So I've gone through this process where I've thought I was having a heart attack and had to go through a long, arduous process of elimination until I figured out that no, I certainly wasn't. It's just an externality of another thing that I'm doing with my body that it's not super happy with, but it definitely isn't dangerous. Maybe I just shouldn't prop myself up on my shoulders to use my phone. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that's crazy. So just while I'm lying in bed doing those things, doing playlisting or thinking about music and things like that, I do lay propped up on my elbows for a little while before I go lay down to go to sleep. So it very well could just be my chest muscles decompressing and chilling out and spazzing a little bit on the way down. It might not necessarily be a heart attack. So that's kind of the next point too. That's evidence against the negative thought, but that's also thoughts too. That's the more balanced version of that thought, that no, it's probably not a heart attack. It's probably just some weird stuff that my body's doing. And I'm probably still going to be cognizant of it next time that it happens, but I'm going to approach it with a much more level and sort of calculated lens, because now I've got this extra ammo, this extra information against it, so that when that negative thought comes to attack me again, I'm ready for it. Okay, so that's really what I wanted to do today. It's just me in here for now, and that's cool. I definitely don't expect people to pick this up super fast. Maybe after they see this video, they'll know what to expect for the next one. This is the meeting for September. We're doing it on September 6th. It's the first Sunday of the month. I think I'll keep doing it on Sundays. I'll do it, one Sunday a month as we go. The reason I'm only doing it once a month right now is because I want to be able to scale this. If I get more busy with other things in my life or with my band or with whatever, really, I never want to kind of abandon something that I put in place for this support group. I still want to be available in the same capacity at all times because this is something I genuinely believe people need. So this is the least I can do contribution-wise, is come here once a month and try to equip you with better tools to deal with whatever you're going through. So that's it. That's going to be this month's meeting. If anyone else were here, I would turn all the cameras and the microphones off and everything like that, and we would do thought records with other people, and then we as a community could kind of come together and in the most balanced and least chaotic way possible, try to walk people through that weighing of evidence for the negative thought and evidence against the negative thought. And even just like share our stories or just, talk about how rough the week was, because sometimes commiserating is all you need. I know in addiction, that's what it was. I was lonely, so I just wanted somebody to talk to or somebody to be around that kind of understood what I was going through. So this could be an opportunity to do that, just to basically open up the floor. I hope that this helped some of you now that you're seeing it back on the recording. And I'll be working on ways to improve the quality of it all the time. So make sure you send me a DM or you leave a comment wherever you can to let me know if this helped you or if you have any ideas for something that might help you more.